Sunlight poured in from the windows, creating puddles and splotches of light around the room. The dark-haired man cracked open his eyes to find a certain someone already staring at him. "It's about time, sleepyhead." The younger man yawned and stretched before fully sitting up. "When did you wake up?" "About an hour ago." "Have you just been watching me sleep the whole time?" Bokuto looked away with a flushed face. "Maybe." Akashi chuckled and started to get out of bed before feeling arms wrap around his waist, pulling him back down. "Stay. Please." You know we can't." Akashi sat up again and slipped out of the bed. Bokuto let out a whine before very ungracefully rolling out of bed. This was Bokuto's off-season. It wasn't very long, so Akashi wanted to spend every moment he could before he had to return to his busy schedule. Akashi walked into the kitchen with Bokuto stumbling after him. "What's for breakfast? How about we go out for breakfast today?" The younger man turned around with a small smile on his face. "Why not? Can we go to that cafe that I was telling you about?" "Whatever you want." Time skip. The couple was walking hand in hand to the cafe and Bokuto was swinging their hands back and forth. He was leading the conversation, talking about his teammates while Akashi listened intently. "The place is around here somewhere. There it is." Akashi started pulling him along the sidewalk. He looked back at the owl-haired male and smiled. His face flushed in response and he felt his heart race. He covered his face with his hand to try and cover the blush. "He's so pretty." When they got inside, Akashi did all of the talking and got them seated. Once they were both seated, Akashi was looking around and taking in the atmosphere. He had a little glint in his eyes that appeared whenever he was truly amazed. Bokuto adored it. Their waiter came out and took their orders. Akashi ordered for the both of them, not because Bokuto couldn't do it himself, but it was just an old habit that he couldn't break. Kuru thought it was abnormal, but Kiji always passive-aggressively reminded him that he had to order for Kenma every time they went out as well. When their food came out, Akashi started eating while Bokuto sort of picked at his food. "What's wrong? Is there something wrong with your food? You haven't eaten anything." Before he could even continue, the other reached over and took some of his food from his plate. "Yours just looked better. Give me your plate." He handed over his plate and Akashi scraped some of his food off. "Do you want to switch plates, Ko?" The older male reached his hand out and grabbed Akashi's plate. "I take that as a yes." They both laughed loudly, earning them looks from other customers in the cafe. Kiji even snorted, which sent them into another bout of laughter. Akashi covered his mouth with his hand and Bokuto put his head on the table. "Kiji." Akashi was still uncontrollably giggling, so he had to take a couple of deep breaths to calm himself down. He removed his hand from his face and looked Bokuto in the eyes. "Yes, Kotaro. Have I ever told you how pretty you are?" Akashi brought a finger to his lips as if he was in deep thought. "Now that I think about it, you haven't actually." "Really? I could have sworn I have on multiple occasions." "I mean, you might have to refresh my memory." Bokuto reached across the table and picked up one of Akashi's hands and brought it to his lips. "You're so very pretty, Akashi Kiji. I think I could say the same thing about you, Bokuto Kotaro." Atsumu pushed open the door to their shared apartment. The familiar scent of home enveloped him like a warm hug. He rarely stepped foot in this building because of volleyball, but whenever he gets the chance, every memory that he's made comes flooding back. As he was taking off his shoes, he noticed another pair sitting neatly by the door. "Kyumi, I'm home." He wasn't expecting 𝚐𝚑𝚎 to actually appear before him, as he normally would just yell from whichever room he was currently in. That was pretty much the basis of their communication. "Hey Omi. How long have you been home?" 𝚐𝚑𝚎 shook his head and he started walking in Atsumu's direction. "Is something?" He was cut off by his boyfriend wrapping him in a hug, practically knocking him over in the process. Atsumu smirked. My big baby. Did you miss me? He felt him nod against the crook of his neck. We just saw each other a few hours ago. 𝚎𝚠𝚎 pulled back to look him in the face. Atsumu placed a hand on his cheek and the other leaned into the touch. Touch starved. Kiyumi reached down to pick up the smaller man and walked to the couch. He sat down, allowing Atsumu to straddle him. I missed you. I don't know how. We've been together almost the entire season. I meant I miss you. I miss us. Am I making any sense? You are. 𝚎𝚠𝚎 sighed before placing his head against Atsumu's chest and he started playing with his curls, twisting and untwisting them around his fingers. Are you hungry? A nod. Do you want to get something to eat? Another nod. Do you want to go out? He violently shook his head. I guess that's a no. Do you want me to make something? A slight nod. I'll surprise you. He slid off of his boyfriend's lap and made his way to the kitchen. Time skip. Omi. The food is ready. Can you bring it to me? We can eat in the living room. But you hate eating on the couch. Tonight I don't. Fair enough. He brought both of their plates and he sat on the floor in between 𝚎𝚠𝚎's legs. They put something on the TV and they sort of sat in a comfortable silence. Hey Tsumu. Yeah. He didn't take his eye off of the TV. Kiyumi reached down and stabbed a piece of meat on the other's plate. Did you want more meat? No. Then why'd you take mine? Because why not? He returned his focus back to the TV before a few moments later 𝚎𝚠𝚎 once again aggressively stabbed a piece of meat off of his plate. Bruh. Stop. There's more meat in the pot on the stove. Then you can get some more. Don't talk with your mouth full. 𝚎𝚠𝚎 stuck his tongue out at him. So immature. He said as he was getting to go get more food to replace his stolen merchandise. He came back and sat back in his previous position. If you take anything off of this plate I'm going to kick you out. Kick me out of what? This apartment. How are you going to do that? I live here. The apartment is in my name. I can do anything I want. I never should have let you sign it in your name. They returned to watching TV in silence. Can I have some of your meat? No, like I said, there's still food on the stove. But I don't want to get up. That sounds like a personal problem. That's kinda rude tbh. Did you just use a texting abbreviation out loud? Maybe I did. 𝚎𝚠𝚎 reached his hand out and quickly snatched a piece of meat between his fingers. What did I say? Get out. Get TF out. TF. Atsumu stopped and looked him dead in the face before the pair exploded with laughter. You're just as bad as I am. Don't compare me to you. I'm so much better than you. Always have been and always will be. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Samu. Suna burst through the doors of Onigiri-miya. Some of the customers who were already there gave him looks, but regulars who knew the couple either ignored it or smiled at Suna's surprising return to Hyogo. Rin. We've talked about this. You cannot just come in here and start yelling. Or, is my own fiancé not happy to see me? Osamu sighed and lowered his head. He looked up to see Suna looking at him with so much love and adoration that it was hard to stay mad at him. Hey baby, welcome back. He leaned across the counter to give him a quick kiss. Finally, a proper welcome. You're one to talk. Huh. Where's your other half? I think he's back in Tokyo with 𝚎𝚠𝚎. Hey, what time do you close? Normally it's around 10 but since you're back I'm closing at 8. Damn, I didn't know that I was so special. If you keep talking you won't be. Jeez, no need to be so rude. Whatever. Have you been to the house yet? No. Do you have your keys? Obviously. He held them up, dangling them in the air. Go home and rest and when I get home we can go out to eat. I don't know, are you buying? I always do. You got yourself a deal babe. Osamu chuckled as his fiancée turned and walked out of the restaurant. It's crazy, he's still the same person I fell in love with in high school. Time skip. Rin. I'm home. He looked down to see shoes tossed in front of the door. He let out a frustrated sigh. And how many times do I have to tell you? Put your shoes neatly by the door. Sorry, Captain. Suna emerged from around the corner holding their cat, Ziggy, like a newborn baby. Don't hold the cat like that, she doesn't like it. How would you know? Can you talk to her? Are you guys having secret conversations behind my back? He held the cat out at arm's length and looked her in the eyes. I trusted you. He put her down and she went and curled up in the middle of the living room. Are you ready to go? Yeah, I've been waiting for you to get home. Alright, let me shower first then we can go. Suna followed him into the bathroom and perched himself on the counter, talking to him the entire time. Even when they were driving to the restaurant, Suna kept talking animatedly. Even though he wasn't responding a lot, he knew Osamu was listening to every word. Sounds like a lot has happened since you were last back in town. They walked through the door hand in hand, and they were almost immediately seated. Damn, you went all out. Maybe I should pay this time. Maybe you should. You weren't supposed to hold me to that. Once they got their food, Suna announced that he had to go to the bathroom. Go ahead, I'll still be here. Thanks for the reassurance. Anytime, babe. When he came back, Suna saw that his food was gone. Samu. Yes, Rin. Where did my food go? Did you send it back? No. Then what happened to it? I ate it. You ate all of it? Yes. How could you do this to me? I trusted you. Never again. Why are you yelling? You just ate my dinner, you asshole. You want me to remain silent in these challenging times? Sunarin, I can just order you more. I already paid in advance. Suna slumped down in his seat and held his head in his hands. It's not the same. Babe. Suna looked up at him with tears in his eyes. You don't love me anymore. Suna, baby, it's not that deep, I'm sorry. How would you feel if I ate your food while you were in the bathroom? You've literally done that. More than once. Damn, you have a point. Osamu sighed and rested his chin on the palm of his hand. What am I going to do with you? Order me another fucking meal so your fiancé doesn't starve. Maybe I want you to starve. You wouldn't. Who's going to take care of Ziggy? Definitely not you. You're not even home most of the time. Rintaro crossed his arms and huffed. At least she loves me more than you. Tenda sighed and ran a hand over his head as he walked toward the stairs leading up to his apartment. As he walked up the stairs, the familiar feeling of dread was welling up inside him. He hated coming home to an empty house. It was always so lonely. Sure, he hosted many parties, quite often actually, but they never lasted as long as he needed them to. As he pushed open the door, he expected to be tackled by his dog, Kona, but he wasn't. Come here, girl, I'm home. He placed down his belongings and walked further into the house, checking every room for the dog. The last unchecked room was his bedroom. The only problem was that the door was open. He closes it every morning to prevent her from wandering in there during the day while he's gone. Why the fuck is? He pushed open the door to find his longtime partner cuddled up with the dog on his bed. Oh my god. Ushijima rolled over and sat up on the bed. Hey Satori. He gave a little half wave and put a hand on the back of his neck. It's been a while, hasn't it? Surprise. The red-headed male was so shocked that he couldn't do anything except stand frozen to the ground. Aren't you going to say something? How are you here? Ushijima chuckled, and it was deeper than Tenda remembered. Not even a hello? It's my off-season and I just wanted to surprise you by coming back early. That is very surprising. Aren't you happy to see me? Of course I am. I was just thinking about you earlier, but now that you're here I don't know what to do with myself. Can you start by giving me a hug? Tenda almost immediately went over to embrace his boyfriend. I missed you so much. He didn't want to let go. He wanted to stay in this position for as long as possible. He tried to memorize everything about him. His scent, the way he felt in his arms, the way his heartbeat sounded against him, the sounds of his breathing. He wanted everything, and he never wanted to let it go again. Time skip. 𝚑𝚘𝚠 found a restaurant for the both of them to go to, and they spent the entire time catching up over the past few weeks. That's so crazy. You put a lot of time and effort into what you do. 𝚑𝚘𝚠 only shrugged. It's pretty much one of the only things I do best. Without a word, Ushijima reached over and took some of 𝚑𝚠's food from his bowl. Did you want some more? Are you still hungry? No, yours just looked good. I wish I could have tasted whatever you had. You've never had it? You told me you come here all the time. 𝚑𝚠 shrugged again. I normally eat the same 3 things though. Wakatoshi reached over again, taking more food. Again. I'm assuming that this is one of the 3 meals that you cycle through. It is. Then you won't mind if I have some. Normally I would, but since it's you, you get a pass. I'm so honored. He said as he stole more food from 𝚑𝚠's bowl. He did this several more times as they both continued talking. Satori looked down at his bowl and noticed that it was basically empty. He laughed and looked up at his boyfriend. Ushijima. Yes. You ate all of my food. Did I? I didn't even notice. I guess you were still hungry. Maybe, but you barely ate any of it. Aren't you still hungry yourself? Hey, not really. I only really wanted to come out so that we could talk. Ushijima was looking at him with a concerned look. It reminded 𝚑𝚠 of the way he looked back in high school. Are you sure? I wouldn't lie to you, Ushijima. The couple smiled at each other. From the way they were acting, you could have sworn that this was their first date. How long do you plan on staying? Oh, the dreaded question. I have to know, so I won't get my hopes up too soon. That's fair. I was going to stay for most of the off-season and part of when I'm supposed to pick it back up again. Then I'm going back home. Don't you need to get back before? Ushijima held 𝚑𝚠's hands in his own. Why won't you just let me love you? The question caught him off guard, but they both already knew the answer. Because I'm not your top priority. When have I ever said that? You love everything about volleyball, Ushi, and that's not a problem. I just don't want to be in the way of something that you care so much about. Well, what if I quit? Ushi. No, listen, hear me out. I can quit, and move here with you, in Paris. We can live a great life, Satori. You won't be getting in my way and you can keep doing what you love. But what about you? What about volleyball? I don't need volleyball when I have you. The only thing is that you have to promise me one thing. What is it? You can't ever leave me. I can't quit volleyball for you to just up and leave me. 𝚑𝚠 giggled. Alright, I promise. Really? Really? Then it's set. I'll let everyone know before the off-season is over. Wouldn't it be best to tell them? Don't worry about it. I've got everything handled. Alright, I trust you. Ushijima smiled so brightly he literally could have lit up the room. 𝚑𝚠 would never have to worry about coming home to an empty house. The perpetual feeling of dread would soon fade, and in its place would be something far greater: contentment.
And it goes a little something like